Brain fog is a collection of symptoms such as forgetfulness, lack of mental clarity, confusion, and an inability to focus. It's also referred to as mental fog, clouding of consciousness, or cognitive dysfunction. It's generally caused by inflammation in the brain, stemming from some underlying cause. Some of the symptoms are fatigue and low energy, including chronic fatigue syndrome, irritability, inability to concentrate, poor working memory and executive function, poor ability to memorize things, impaired ability to process new information and delayed processing, confusion, low motivation, mental confusion, wandering thoughts, inability to sustain a train of thought, and disorientation. Depending on the causes, brain fog can last anywhere from a few minutes to decades if left untreated. In most cases, brain fog is reversible. Brain fog or mental fog stands for the reversible cognitive impairment caused by inflammation in the brain. Brain fog is essentially caused by an issue in the area of the brain responsible for executive function, general cognitive function, and emotional balance. This area is called the limbic system. Within the limbic system, the hypothalamus, also known as the control center, is most affected. The limbic system is responsible for wakefulness, for appetite, for mood, for motivation, for body warmth, for gut flow by the way of the vagus nerve, for metabolism, for blood pressure, emotional regulation, executive function, and memory, both short and long term. Brain fog can be caused by the limbic system disbalance, usually as a result of an injury or a highly stressful event. A big bout of inflammation, free radicals, or emotional stress are all mechanisms by which these brain changes can occur. The hypothalamus in particular plays a critical role in thermal regulation, sweating, wakefulness and fatigue, circadian rhythms, thirst, hunger and satiety, blood pressure and heart rate, gut function, emotions, sex drive and hormones, glucose regulation, and vision. Injuries and chronic stress can damage the hypothalamus, and this is the control center of the limbic system. The limbic system is responsible for many things, so if you're having brain fog, it will often go together with other symptoms like fatigue, anxiety, depression, insomnia, circadian rhythm issues, being tired in the day and awake at night, lower motivation, suppressed appetite and often weight loss, memory problems, cold hands and feet, and problem with temperature regulation, gut problems including constipation, lower thyroid and sex hormones, overstimulated HPA axis, low blood pressure, frequent urination, procrastination, OCD, and problems letting go of thoughts, hypoglycemia, attention problems, hormonal issues, lower libido and sex drive, pain and visual problems. Due to the complex functions of the limbic system, brain fog often goes together with mood, sleep, hormonal, and metabolic disorders. Brain fog or cognitive dysfunction comes from inflammation and too many free radicals, or too much oxidative stress. Inflammation and oxidative stress affect the limbic system and can cause it to become imbalanced. In 2014, 2 studies found that gene expression of an antioxidant, SOD2, strongly correlated with cognitive performance. The main SOD2 variant is more common in brain fog clientele, and there's a lot of scientific research on it. Being heavily associated with oxidative stress and inflammation, brain fog is much more likely to occur in conjunction with other conditions. There's evidence that chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia are caused by oxidative stress and inflammation. Inflammation hits the brain stem as well in chronic fatigue syndrome. It's no wonder that brain fog is commonly cited in people with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, as the same processes are driving all three. Mood disorders like anxiety, OCD, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, and alcoholism can exacerbate brain fog because the oxidative stress plays a role in these disorders. In fact, science is discovering now that many antidepressants work by combating the oxidative stress. There's a strong correlation with these disorders, especially OCD, anxiety and depression, and brain fog. In multiple sclerosis and lupus, brain fog is a common feature. In all of these disorders, inflammation and oxidative stress are increased. Female hormones like estrogen and estradiol tend to display antioxidant activity, and they lower oxidative stress, and this is why women with menopause sometimes develop brain fog. Brain fog often goes hand in hand with other conditions caused by inflammation and oxidative stress. Its connection with mental and autoimmune disorders is particularly strong. Some of the most common brain fog triggers are lectins and inflammatory agents in plants, anxiety or chronic stress, PTSD or a very stressful event, depression, drug-induced, usually from THC, LSD, MDMA or alcohol, sleep problems, infections, toxins, night shift workers who have circadian disruptions, injuries, not enough light or sun, imbalanced hormones, obesity or a terrible diet, and lack of exercise. Various factors can trigger brain fog. The most common ones are the lectins, which are pro-inflammatory in the diet, anxiety and stress. There's many other possible sources of brain fog. If you get brain fog after eating, then you should look carefully at your diet. When people consume food that causes inflammation, it'll often cause brain fog. People with lectin sensitivity will most often experience inflammation in their guts, joints, thyroid, and their brain in the hypothalamus. Sometimes they'll go on to develop an autoimmune condition eventually. In some cases, people only have to stay away from specific proteins or foods and they'll be fine. However, lectins are not the only problem food. Some other common triggers of inflammation, apart from the lectins, are gluten, casein, the FODMAPs, amines, tannins, trypsin inhibitors, oxalates, yeast, food additives like carrageenan, salicylates, and caffeine. You should try out a strict version of the lectin avoidance diet. This has helped a lot of clients with brain fog. In some cases, brain fog can simply come from a horrible diet. High sugar levels can cause a threefold increase in free radicals, and this can damage the human cells. If you're living on a standard American diet, then it's likely a significant contributing factor to your brain fog. The lectins, food sensitivities, and pro-inflammatory nutrients are the primary dietary causes of brain fog. Not sleeping well is another common cause of brain fog. If you have sleep apnea, this will most likely be the cause of your brain fog. Sleep apnea causes hypoxia, or a lack of oxygen at night, and this increases oxidative stress. Hypoxia drives psychiatric conditions by causing neurons to get overexcited, such as glutamate excitotoxicity, and this excitation causes increased levels of free radicals and mitochondrial breakdown. Even if you don't have sleep apnea, bad sleep is still a significant cause of brain fog. Sleep loss increases oxidative stress in the hypothalamus by the loss of glutathione. Sleep deprivation for even one night exacerbates brain fog by increasing inflammation in the hypothalamus and the rest of the body. People with morning brain fog should particularly watch out for this. Adequate sleep means that you're getting the amount of sleep that you'd get if you didn't have an alarm clock. You can do a sleep study and check how much slow wave and REM sleep that you're getting. Poor sleep quality and disorders such as sleep apnea can cause the brain fog by increasing the oxidative stress. Science is increasingly becoming aware of the link between autoimmune conditions and infections, usually earlier in life. When someone was healthy their whole life and suddenly comes down with brain fog after an infection, they should identify and get rid of the infection. In the case of viral infections, you should take steps to control it. Sometimes infections, such as viruses, can be latent, and they can be reactivated by a stressor like lack of sleep or poor diet. People with Th2 dominance often can't control viral infections well, and they experience chronic inflammation. This is likely the case with chronic fatigue syndrome. The Epstein-Barr virus is a common viral infection, and it causes harm. Even if it's another virus, controlling viral infection has common themes. People with severe immunodeficiency struggle with controlling viral infections. Since you can't rid yourself of a virus, you want to instead make sure your immune system always keeps it at bay. If you're Th2 dominant, then you want to rebalance your immune system. Gram-negative bacteria can also cause an overproduction of inflammatory cytokines. Only gram-negative bacteria have inflammatory lipopolysaccharides. Some common infections include Lyme and Helicobacter pylori. The bacterial infections like Lyme and Helicobacter pylori can cause inflammation, and this can contribute to brain fog. Candida comes from an immune deficiency. Environmental triggers include refined carbs, stress, low stomach acidity, and antibiotics. The low stomach acidity could be from taking antacids. Anyone with brain fog after antibiotic treatment or a particularly stressful period should look into Candida as being a possible cause. People with Candida or bacterial infections will often have a chronic type of brain fog. Candida and bacterial infections can usually be cured through conventional and alternative means. Fungal infections such as Candida stem from an immune deficiency, a poor diet, antibiotic treatment, and stress. Candida increases inflammation, and it's a possible cause of brain fog. Although less common in the developed world, parasitic infections can also be problematic. Tapeworms, roundworm antibodies, tissue worms, and toxoplasma are common parasitic infections. Any kind of toxins can stimulate the immune system and cause inflammation and oxidative stress. Heavy metals and toxins increase oxidative stress in the body. Since heavy metals accumulate in the body, they can cause the increased levels of the oxidative stress. Even essential minerals can accumulate in the body and cause oxidative stress in the long term. Toxins such as phthalates, BPA, and pesticides, and others also cause oxidative stress. However, they are usually contributory in a minor way. People exposed to mold and other biotoxins can suffer from chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and they can develop a certain kind of brain fog. These inflammatory markers will often be elevated if you're exposed to toxins. C4A, TGF-beta, and MMP9. Symptoms of chronic inflammation and brain fog, often from chronic infections, sometimes match the symptoms from drugs that inhibit acetylcholine. People with toxin issues will often fit into this boat. Acetylcholine inhibits inflammation and cytokines, and it modulates the immune response. In turn, cytokines can decrease acetylcholine. People with brain fog often get hypoglycemic or low blood sugar because the limbic system helps to control the blood glucose. Hypoglycemia can in turn contribute to the brain fog. People with insulin resistance experience significant blood glucose fluctuations, and this is even worse than sustained high or low levels of the glucose. These swings in the blood glucose result in oxidative stress and inflammation and may thus cause brain fog. High or low blood glucose, as well as glucose fluctuations due to insulin resistance, result in oxidative stress and they contribute to brain fog. The following hormones act as antioxidants by inhibiting superoxide and other free radicals: melatonin, pregnenolone, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, and oxytocin. Hence, a deficiency in these hormones can all contribute to brain fog. Genes that result in lower melatonin, for example, are associated with cognitive dysfunction. Brain injuries from car accidents, being in the military, being a competitive athlete, fighting professionally or not, or any kind of hit to the brain can lead to low hormones. If you've received head blows from any source, you should check your hormones. With regard to thyroid hormones, low or high thyroid hormone levels can cause oxidative stress. People with brain fog often have low levels of thyroid hormones. However, low thyroid hormones are a result of inflammation, not the cause of it. In fact, having a high level of thyroid hormones increases inflammation. Melatonin, sex hormones, and oxytocin protect you against the oxidative stress, while low levels increase the risk of brain fog. Intestinal permeability or leaky gut and an imbalance in your gut microbiota can increase inflammation and contribute to brain fog. Lectins are the most common reason for having a leaky gut. To prevent microbial imbalance and dysbiosis, the gut needs the right ingredients, such as prebiotics, to work well. Probiotics can also be great at silencing inflammation. Patients with brain fog often have IBS. Gut microbiome imbalances and inflammatory components like lectins contribute to the leaky gut and brain fog. You can improve your gut health by avoiding lectins and consuming probiotics, resistant starch, and fiber-rich vegetables. People with asthma and allergies commonly report brain fog, which can be caused by the production of histamine. Allergies and asthma can be the result of a Th2 dominance. Histamines can be produced from lectins or allergic reactions as a result of an elevated Th2 immune system. People can also consume foods with histamine, mainly fermented and cured foods and beverages. If you don't have enough of an enzyme to break the histamine down, this can be the cause of your brain fog. Oxidative stress might be the mechanism by which the histamine causes the brain fog. When the mast cells activate, they release superoxide, which supports the theory that superoxide is responsible for the brain fog. Allergic reactions, lectins, and certain foods can elevate histamine, especially in Th2 dominant people, and high histamine can cause brain fog by triggering the oxidative damage. In almost all cases of brain fog, people experience anxiety and often depression and bad moods. This is mainly because inflammation increases our stress response and causes anxiety, which also leads to depression. Indeed, that's why cognitive dysfunction, depression, and anxiety often go together. Also because they're all influenced by the limbic system. Inflammation and oxidative stress activate the stress pathway, and they cause us to be more anxious and depressed. Cytokines also degrade the hippocampus and other areas of the brain, which cause depression. In turn, chronic stress can elevate inflammation in the long run by causing glucocorticoid resistance. There's many drugs that can cause or contribute to brain fog. Alcohol is a neurotoxin, and it increases inflammation and oxidative stress. If you're an alcoholic, this will most likely be the cause of your brain fog. Brain fog can also be induced by cannabis, LSD, MDMA, cocaine, and ayahuasca. The mechanism is almost certainly related to limbic system dysregulation. You can also see brain fog induced by antibiotics. Antibiotics can produce free radicals and can damage your mitochondria and the gut microbiome. There's a whole bunch of genes that don't interact well with our current environment. 3 of the significant ones are the CNR1, the MTHFR, and the SOD2 mutations. The CNR1 variation can cause a lot of problems with the limbic system and your gut. Having the MTHFR mutation can hamper your ability to detox and can result in inflammation and oxidative stress. The SOD mutation caused a 33% decrease of an enzyme that breaks down the superoxide in the mitochondria. Superoxide production can cause the brain fog. Obviously, your genes are only part of the story. It's usually the case that you have these mutations and other factors that increase the oxidative stress. The good news is you can overcome the genes with lifestyle and supplement choices. The following are biological factors that contribute to brain fog or make it worse. Low NAD+ levels, hypoxia or low oxygen, and low cyclic AMP. The limbic system and the hypothalamus direct the adrenal glands. Adrenal fatigue is a misconception, and the root cause of fatigue has to do with the hypothalamus, not your adrenal glands. Sunlight is great for decreasing inflammation. Although uncommon, there's been a few cases of brain fog that were relieved simply by being outside and getting more sun. The sun is capable of suppressing inflammation and preventing autoimmune disease. Beside UVB rays directly suppressing autoimmunity, vitamin D also decreases Th1 and Th17 immune responses. The sun makes sulfated vitamin D, which is better than supplemental vitamin D. Additionally, UVB increases our body's internal antioxidant defenses. People think taking vitamin D supplements will make up for not getting enough sun. This is false. The most beneficial ingredient of the sun is probably not the vitamin D, but the infrared that it provides. It's recommended to get up to an hour of sun most days. If you can't get the sun, use an infrared sauna and a low-level laser therapy. The circadian rhythm is deeply connected with inflammation, and both can cause the other to get out of balance. Circadian disruption increases inflammation, and the circadian rhythm is tied to oxidative stress. Disrupting your circadian rhythm will result in brain fog, as happens during jet lag. Some people are more sensitive to circadian rhythm disruptions. It can come on for a variety of reasons, but the most common are a lack of light during the day, too much light at night, disrupted sleep patterns, and chronic inflammation. Disrupting circadian rhythms can also lead to heart disease, neurodegenerative conditions, and cancer. People with brain fog are often wired but tired at night, and tired in the day, and they lack a cortisol spike in the morning. They can be hot at night and wake up to pee multiple times. Circadian rhythm disruptions and poor sleep quality increase inflammation and contribute to a range of health conditions. Too much or too little exercise can contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress. Moderate exercise brings down inflammation and oxidative stress. Interval exercise is particularly good. Yoga is also particularly good because it balances the HPA axis. On the other hand, endurance exercise increases inflammation. Don't confuse endurance exercise with moderate aerobic exercise. Although not as good as interval exercise or yoga, aerobic exercise can decrease inflammation also. One common theme of people with brain fog and chronic fatigue is lower vagal tone or vagus nerve activation. The vagus nerve activation relaxes you by decreasing norepinephrine and inflammation, while increasing GABA and acetylcholine. Removal of the vagus nerve or desensitizing it with capsaicin increases brain oxidative stress and decreased glutathione following a stressor. The vagus nerve stimulation decreased reactive oxygen species and free radicals in response to stressors such as a stroke. People with brain fog often have low vagus nerve activity. Some of the supplements to get rid of inflammation and oxidative stress and help the limbic system are magnesium, zinc, DHA from fish oil, butyrate, CBD oil, curcumin, olive leaf extract, galantamine, nicotinamide riboside, and vitamin B6. Brain fog or mental fog refers to cognitive impairment caused by brain inflammation. You might have brain fog if you feel forgetful, scattered, confused, unmotivated, irritable, and tired. Inflammation and oxidative stress can cause brain fog by damaging the limbic system, a connected set of brain regions that affect cognition, emotion, and energy levels. Brain fog is common in people with food sensitivities who eat lectins and other pro-inflammatory nutrients. Poor sleep, infections, environmental toxins, drugs, and genetics also are contributors. People with gut issues, mood disorders, autoimmune diseases, and hormonal imbalances are more prone to brain fog. To overcome brain fog and to improve your cognition, get more sunlight, moderate exercise, and quality sleep. Vagus nerve stimulation can also be especially helpful. Magnesium, butyrate, zinc, DHA, CBD oil, and curcumin are also beneficial. To book a consultation or to learn about herbs, supplements, and natural treatments, check out my website.